So in the last lesson, the book started talking about pronouns for the singular, dual, and the plural, right? So we talked about them and the way it's divided, like you have the masculine and the feminine, and then you have the singular, dual, and the plural. And basically, we just have to memorize them, right? We know the hua and hiya, these things we have studied them before. And then the book started giving you huma, and huma is for the dual, and it is same for the masculine and the feminine. So that is good, right? And then you also have to know the plural. Plural is hum for the masculine and hunna for the feminine. Okay, I think they're easy, inshallah. Now the book is giving you more examples. We have التدريب الثالث عشر, the 13th exercise. It says اقرأ واكمل, read and complete. So we have the same exercise, right? We have hua, huma, hum. So these are all what? Masculine. Hua, huma, hum. For example, we have hua tayyar. Tayyar is a pilot. Hua tayyar, huma tayyarani. And hum tayyarun. So this is wow and nun. So these are your sound masculine plural, right? You just add wow and nun. Yes, all of them here would be sound masculine plural, so that's good. So you would just simply, for the dual, you would add alif and nun. Huwa muhandisun, you say huma muhandisani, and hum muhandisuna. Okay, very easy. You should do them. Easy doesn't mean it stays in your mind. You have to do them, inshallah. For example, just let me give you one, then maybe we can move on. Okay, just do this one, muallim. How do you say muallim for the dual? Muallimani, excellent. And for the plural? Muallimuna, excellent. Okay, great. And it doesn't have to be, I just wanted to point one thing, that it doesn't have to be a sound plural. You say huwa talib. What is talib? A student, yes. So now you want to say there are two students. You can say huma talibani. Talibani. And so how would you say whom? You want to say they're students. Do you know the plural? And this is not you add wow and no. That's the only thing I want to show you. You will say whom tullab. Okay, tullabun. It's not that all of them has to be wow and no. Whom is just they. Sometimes it will be broken plural, and sometimes it would be sound plural. Say it. So in the next exercise, التدريب الرابع عشر, same thing, اقرأ واكتب, but what we have here, it is the mu'annath, the feminine version of those, right? We have hiya, huma, hun. Okay, hiya, huma, hunna. Same situation, we say hiya mudarrisatun, and huma mudarrisatani, and hunna mudarrisatun. Okay, we spend a lot of time talking about these things. Only thing I want to show you, because now we have both dual and the plural side by side. So I want to mention again something about this Tamar buta. Okay, so this is something that you have to pay a little bit attention when you're conjugating. In the singular, of course, you have the Tamar buta because that's what indicating that is. It's a feminine, right? Now, the issue comes, what you have to pay attention is when you're adding for the dual and for the plural, something you have to keep in your mind. Number one, in the dual, you keep this tamarbuta. So you say mudarrisa tani. So this tamarbuta is changing into your standard ta. That's the only thing happening, right? But it is exactly the same ta. But what you need to pay attention is in the plural, you don't have this tamarbuta. You have to drop it. Okay, you drop this tamarbuta and then you add alif and ta. This is the only thing you have to keep in your mind. Make sense? So for example, let me see if you guys are getting it. Okay, do this one. Taliba. We just had the talib, which is a student. So taliba is the female student. So can you someone give me the dual and the plural? Talibatani. Yes, excellent. Talibatani. That is the dual. So what is the plural? طالباتun. Yeah, tun. Teen, you will say teen for a genitive case or the accusative case, but here's, yeah, طالباتun. Excellent. This book has given you lots of exercise on duals, especially the duals and also the plurals. All of these words are very simple. Okay, what is jadda? Hmm? What is jaddatun? Jaddatun, jadid is new. Jaddatun is what? What is jaddun? Jaddun is grandfather. And jaddatun is grandmother. No. Okay, I think everything else is easy, right? Jayyid. Now we have التدريب الخامس عشر, the 15th exercise. Here they're showing you something interesting. Remember, before we do this thing, we have to review something. For example, when we say هذا تلميذ, when it's هذا تلميذ, what is the translation? Someone translate this one for me. هذا تلميذ. Yeah, this is a student. Yes, good. So هذا تلميذ is this is a student. So we know this is a subject and this is your predicate. Yes, subject and predicate. And we talked about in this class that usually the subject is definite. Okay, the subject is usually definite and the predicate is indefinite. And this is how you make a sentence, by making a subject into definite and predicate into indefinite. But what would happen if you were to say هذا التلميذ? هذا التلميذ. So what did we do? We added alif lam. So now this is definite and this is also definite. So what happens? So in this situation, it is not a sentence. It would be this student. Okay, it would be this student. So as you can see that it is not a complete, we don't have the predicate yet. Before this tilmid was predicate because it was indefinite. By making the tilmid into definite, now this is not a predicate. We're just saying this student. But how do you say, for example, here you're trying to say this is a student, but you want to say this is the student. In English, we can say it, right? Here we're saying this is a student. This is a student. Okay. But I want to say this is the student. So you might think, okay, if tilmid is a student, so I should just make alif lam and make it into the student, right? So in this situation, that's not how we do it. If you add alif lam, this will become this student, not what you're trying to do. So how do we say it? And that's what here they're showing you. In order to say this is the student, you have to put some kind of break. You have to put a pronoun in order to break these two words apart. So what you do, you say هذا هو التلميذ. هذا هو التلميذ. Okay, so you bringing this huwa, because why bringing huwa? Because you're talking about, a tilmid, which is a singular masculine. So you just have to bring this pronoun to make it into this is the student. Because in Arabic, when you add hada and alif lam, it will always be a phrase, not a sentence. Okay, so for example, if you were to say tilmida, he will say hadihi hiya tilmida. You see, you have to bring this appropriate pronoun that goes with what you're trying to point at. Okay, you're pointing at a masculine person, you would have to use hua. If you're pointing at feminine person, you would have to use here. And this is how you phrase, this is the student, this is the boy, this is the man, right? So main thing I want you to think that the way you make sentence is you have the definite and indefinite. هذا تلميذ will make it into a sentence, when you have indefinite. But if you make both of them definite, like هذا التلميذ, this is not a complete sentence. You're saying this student. Now you have to say something else. If you want to say this is the student, then you have to bring huwa. And this is the whole chapter. That's what they're showing you here. So for example, you want to say this is the student. You say هذا هو التلميذ. And here you say هذه هي التلميذة. You're pointing at the female person. And same thing, you would do it for all the pronouns, for the numbers. If you have dual, you have هذاني. Did we do هذاني before? I'm not sure. So هذاني is the dual for the هذا, right? We have هذا, هذاني, هؤلاء. And for masculine, for feminine, you have هذه, هاتاني, and هؤلاء. Maybe I should write it down here, but I think that's fine. So this is something that you have to memorize. You have هذا, هذاني, هؤلاء. Okay, then you memorize like هذه, هاتاني, and هؤلاء. And هؤلاء is the same for both masculine and feminine. Like these. Okay, this is same for the masculine and feminine. Only thing you have to pay attention is that you have هذاني and هاتاني. Be a little bit careful is because it's kind of tricky, because your pronoun is actually the opposite. The pronoun, the duals are same. Huma, huma, both of them. Okay, and the plurals are different in the pronoun, whom and hunna. But for the demonstrative pronouns, the pointing pronouns, it's the opposite. Your duals are different, hadani and hatani, and your plurals are the same, haulai and haulai. And obviously these are for the closer objects or closer things, you know, these, not, we're not talking about that. For that, something that is far, we have a different set of pronouns. Make sense? So now if you are saying that these are two students, you will say hadani huma tilmidhani. It's a little bit mouthful, but that's how you say. Okay, you would say that these are the two students. Hadani huma tilmidhani. And hatani huma tilmidatani. This is very, very mouthful. We have to practice. Make sense? And for the plural, you say haulai humut. Oh, you have to know the plural for tilmiz. The plural for tilmiz is talamiz. This is not your sound plural. This is your broken plural. Haulai humu. Here, see, we cannot pronounce. How would you pronounce? You cannot pronounce these two words together. Haulai hum. What do you do? You know, in order to connect with the ta, just to connect, you would put a dhamma to pronounce. Haulai humut talamiz. Okay, haulai humut talamiz. If the feminine has tamar buta, usually it will always be with the alif and ta. Is that fine, guys? You guys are understanding? Main thing you have to know is just memorize these demonstrative pronouns. Hada, hadihi, hadani, hatani, haulai, haulai. Or you can go this way. Hada, hadani, haulai, hadihi, hatani, haulai. Somehow you have to memorize them. Okay. Okay, so let me give you one example and see if you can do this one. These are two boys. These are the two boys. These are the two boys. Okay, translate this one. These are the two boys. Very close, good, but we're talking about two, right? Yes. Hadani. You also said huma. Oh, you said huma. That's good. Hadani, huma. That's good. No, not al waladu. You also have to change what? Al waladani. This is just a mouthful, as you see, you know, it's definitely, but as long as you know the rules and you see them, and whenever you have to use them, you use them. Okay. Jayid. Next one. Okay, now we have at-tadrib as-sadis ashara. So remember last time I told you that the book does something interesting. Within the exercise, sometimes they give you a text. I think they started doing that from the unit number 4. So that's very interesting because we literally have a hiwar, a conversation. So let's read this one, hiwar. So we have Ali. Ali saying, Kam salatan fil yawmi ya Muhammadu. So what is the translation? We know exactly how to translate this, right? Kam salatan. How many prayers? Fil yawm. What is fil yawm? How would you translate fil yawm? The thing about al yawm, I mentioned to you last time that al yawm can mean two things. It can mean the day, or it can also mean what? Today. If you say, Kam salatan fil yawmi, ya Muhammad. So does he mean how many prayers today? Because it doesn't make any sense because the prayer is the same every day. So there's no point for someone to ask you how many prayers are today, right? So it would be, I will translate as the day. So how many prayers are in the day, Muhammad, right? That is the question. Excellent. So now the answer, Muhammad is saying, Fil yawmi khamsu salawat. In the day, 5 prayers. And one thing I mentioned to you is usually after come, the word that we have, it will usually show up in after the number. Because come means number, you want to know the number. And you want to say kam salatan, you are asking about how many prayers. And then it will come after the number, khamsu salawat. Okay, so keep this one in your mind. And I think last time I gave you the whole explanation about how to make this construction. You know, we have to put in idafa, and I went through this thing many times. Please make sure you know these numbers. Especially these rules apply from what? 3 to 10. When you write from 3 to 10, this construction is used, the idafa construction and the opposite gender. Okay. Now, Ali is asking ma here. Ma means what? Here means she. So it is strange in many different ways because you don't say what is she. So what do they mean here? What is here is referring to? Yes, here is referring to Salah. Good. Now, if you think about Salah, then yes, it kind of makes sense that you have Tamar, buta, so that's the point. But here, honestly, here is not referring to one Salah. Here is referring to Salawat. Ali is asking how many prayers in the day, and he's saying 5 prayers. So he's asking about the 5 prayers. He's not asking about a prayer. So now it's a little bit more confusing because yes, if it was asking about Salah, so you understand this is Tamar buta, so it's referring. So I'll just quickly mention this one. It's a little bit tricky. I'm pretty sure I might have mentioned before. So what happens in Arabic, plural of non-human beings are treated as feminine singular feminine. For example, you say qalamun. What do you say? You say hada qalamun. This is a pen. Yes. What is the plural for pen? Aqlam. Now you want to say here it means this is a pen. Now you want to say these are pens. So what are you going to say? Are you going to say haulai? No, you will say hadihi. Hadihi aqlamun. Why are you saying hadihi? Because that is the rule in Arabic. Plural of non-human being. We treat as a singular feminine. Meaning, for example, if I say rajul, you say hada rajulun. Okay, hada rajulun. What is the plural for rajul? What is the plural for rajul? Rijalun. Excellent. So you say, now what will you say? Remember, we just went through this one. What will you say? You will say haula'i. You cannot say hada anymore. You will say haula'i. Haula'i rijalun. These are men. Haula'i rijalun. But For plural of non-human, any object, non-human, then we will be treating as singular feminine. This is extremely important. So we have to slowly get very comfortable with this idea. It's really, really important. The question is regardless broken or silent. Okay, the question is regardless of broken plural or the sound plural. Now there are rules. The sound plurals usually comes in what? Usually comes in something that has intellect, especially the masculine sound plural, right? Mudarrisuna, okay? So this is intellect. That's why, of course, here you're going to say ha ulai. So let me give you one more example. We say هذه سيارة. Yes? هذه سيارة. Make sense? This is a car. So what is the plural of cars? I want to say these are cars. Yes, it's that very simple one because you have Tamar buta, so you can just add alif and ta. Sayyaratun. And just remember the rule that I mentioned. You have to drop this Tamar buta. Now, how would you say that these are car? Because we know how to say these. This is haulai. Okay, we learned this one. And as you can see, haulai is same for masculine and feminine. So how would you say here? Do you say haulai? That's where the problem is. This is the rule that you have to know. No, you cannot say haulai, even though haulai means this, and you're trying to say these are cars. You have these because sayyarat, it is a plural of non-human beings. It's a plural of objects. We have to treat as singular feminine. So we will say هذه سيارات. Make sense? So here, this here is actually referring to the prayers. So how would you translate when somebody says mahia? Now that you understand what here is doing, how would you translate it? Translate this phrase here, or the question here, mahia. So the context is kam salatan fil yawmi, ya Muhammad, how many prayers in the day? And then Muhammad says, fil yawmi khamsu salawat. In the day, there are 5 prayers. Now Ali is asking mahia, what are they? Excellent. So here is being translated as they. Definitely not she, because we're not talking about any human being here. It's talking about they. Make sense? And so now the Muhammad is giving you the list here. So again, the here will be they, meaning they are. As-subh, we talked about subh is the morning. Al-dhuhr is the afternoon. And asr is the asr prayer. And al-maghrib, maghrib is the maghrib prayer. And isha is the isha prayer. So you have your 5 names of the prayers. Now, then Ali is saying, Kam rak'atan fi subh. How many units like raka in the morning prayer? See here, you don't have to say the whole thing. You don't have to say fi subhi rak'atani. In the morning prayers rak'atani. Here you can just simply say the rak'atan. It's understood from the context. 2 units, 2 raka. Then Ali is asking, wa kam rak'atan fi dhuhr. How many raka is in the dhuhr prayer? And the answer is arba'u raka'at. 4 rakas. Okay, we went through them. How do we construct these things? I'm just worried if you're not practicing these things, these are not easy. Saying something about the numbers is not that easy. So you have to practice. How do I say 4 books, 5 books? Just quickly, just quickly, how would you say 4 books? Here you were saying 4 raka. So how would we say 4 books or 4 pens? The pens we know, I give you the pens is aqlam. Okay, so you say arba'u kutub. You're giving me the books. That's fine. You're saying arba'u kutubin. Excellent, but you got almost everything except for one thing. And that's why I want you to really always pay attention. What did you get wrong? Everything is good, beautiful. You have the plural is fine. You have the idafa construction is fine. Everything's fine, but one important rule is missing. What is it? It is the gender of this word. You are describing kitab. Kitab is masculine. So here you cannot say arba'u. You have to say arba'atu. Here you have to do the opposite. I know this is very, very hard. That's why I'm telling you, you have to keep this thing in mind all the time. And the reason why using arba here, because the raka has the tamar buta. It has to be opposite in the gender. Makes sense? So very good. You guys are picking up the construction, but just keep this gender rule in your mind. Jayid. So now we have wafil asri kam rak'atan ya Muhammad. See what he did? Because he's keep on asking kam rak'atan fi subh, kam rak'atan fi dhuhr, and he could have said the same thing, kam rak'atan fil asr, but now he's bringing the fil asr in the beginning. The English translation here would be, here is like how many rakas in the afternoon prayer, and here it would be in the afternoon, in the asr, how many raka. So what he's doing is he's just changing the order, and this is perfectly fine. So fil asri kam rakatan ya Muhammad. In the asr times, how many raka? Okay, makes sense. And then he says arba rakaatin aidan. And you know what? Aidan is also, right? The words in terms of what they're giving you, words and the rules, we have covered them many, many, many times. So I don't think that's the problem. It's just that we have to read them. We have to get used to hearing them and practicing. That's all, right? Every single rules here, we have studied them before. Now he's again asking about the Maghrib. وَكَمْ رَكْعَةً فِي الْمَغْرِبِ. How many rakas in the Maghrib prayer? And the answer is ثلاث ركعات, 3 units. And Ali is asking, وَهَلْ تُصَلِّي فِي الْعِشَاءِ ثَلَاثَ رَكَعَاتٍ. I want you to translate this sentence for me. وَهَلْ تُصَلِّي فِي الْعِشَاءِ ثَلَاثَ رَكَعَاتٍ. And do you pray in Isha 3 rakat? Yes, excellent. You see, it doesn't matter if it's big sentence or not. You understand the constructions, you know the words, you know the grammar rules. Alhamdulillah, you can translate. Very good. And Muhammad is answering, La ya Ali. No, Ali. He's saying no. فالعشاء أربع ركعات مثل الظهر والعصر. So he's saying, what is fa is doing here? This fa is very important and very interesting word in Arabic. Fa can be used for many, many different purposes, right? It has many different roles, and honestly, the meaning is only comes through the context. We can later find out how would we want to translate the fa here, but let's just translate what he's saying. Al-Isha'u, the Maghrib prayer, arba'u rakatin, is four raka. Okay, so the Isha is 4 raka. Mithlu, what is Mithlu? We talked about this. What is Mithlu? Yes, like or same. Like Dhuhr wal Asr. Like the Dhuhr prayer and the Asr prayer. So if you are to say this thing in English, what would be the fa here? For example, I'm saying, no, Ali. In the Isha prayer, there are 4 raka like the Dhuhr and Asr. So as you see, you can feel the fa, but it's very subtle. Here, the meaning of the fa is very subtle. It's not too strong. In English, you can even drop the translating the fa. But here in Arabic, if you don't put the fa, there's no connection. It would be like two disjoint statements. You're saying, no, Ali. Then you're saying the Isha has 4 raka, like the Dhuhr and Asr. You understand? But when you say fa, that means you're saying no because it has that kind of annotation, because or since. a very subtle meaning, but this fa is playing a very important role. It's very subtle, but it's interesting. Inshallah, you will see how to use fa. It's not easy. When you read it, usually you will understand why it's there. And sometimes the fa plays even more stronger roles in the grammar where you have to add them. So it is a very interesting word. Make sense? So this hiwar, I really want you guys to read it. And also, you're not translating word for word, you're reading it and you're understanding in your mind. Okay, so you have to slowly translate on the spot, like in your mind, without going to English.